something on social media took platforms by storm. I saw it all over Twitter and X, saw a lot of reposts on TikTok and all kinds of stuff. What am I talking about? I am talking about this incredibly sensational video coming out of TikTok originally, but actually shared by Disney Scoop Guy over there on X. The fact that someone was able to get a video of a Disneyland firework hitting the freeway makes me wonder how often it happens when someone isn't recording. Oh yes, folks. You heard the description right. Let's go ahead and play it right now. Audio might be a little bit of an issue, but there you go, right there. And it hits the freeway. Whoa! That is
the rocket's red glare there was a problem.
Yes, a big problem. And people are going, whoa, how is this possible? How did this happen? What is going on over there at Disneyland? Folks, this is the issue. When you have the world's most famous regional theme park in the middle of a sprawling city like Anaheim, literally, it is right there by the 5 freeway. I know a lot of people over there on the East Coast going, the 5? What? It's not I-5? It technically is I-5, but, you know, over there, you guys call it I-4. We call it the 5 over there at Disneyland. And to just give you an idea of how close this all is to one another, you can see right there. Boom.
It is. I mean, and look, these are air-launched fireworks. They are fired out of an air cannon, and then,
yes,
you know, and that process gets it to its ignition point. And as these things are loaded, they're loaded carefully. They are fired carefully. But if for whatever reason something interacts with that, I can see this happening. And as you are showing here on this map in real time, that's how close they are. So if 2 of these things strike each other, or if one of them is got a little uneven pressure on launch or whatnot, it can fall off trajectory. And that's how close it is. Disney Way, and what are the other things here? You got Harbor, Catella. I mean, this is surrounded by major roadways. These parks in particular.
Right.
And one of the disadvantages was something Walt described himself, that the world kind of grew up around them, and he didn't want that to happen in Florida. And this is what he was worried about, is the fact that the world just grew into his creation, and the clover leaf that goes to the parking structure that's right there is that close. Everything is that close. It's right on top of you, which is why they're constantly looking for more area to develop. So, you know, this is a strange thing, but does it surprise me, Vash? No.
No. It happens. It happens more than you would think. Yeah. And look, you know, if you're living in the Anaheim area, one of the great, you know, benefits to doing that, or maybe something that detracts from the resale value of your home, is that at every single night at 9, you go outside, you can see the fireworks over Disneyland. And I know a lot of people have, you know, gone on the rooftops and so forth to enjoy those, and that's great, that's wonderful. But the surrounding city, you know, it does cause problems. Like, for example, if the wind at higher elevations is beyond a certain point, they will cancel fireworks. I know, it's crazy. Walt Disney World are going, what? Cancel fireworks? Yes, they cancel fireworks, and regularly because of this, because you have to think, because of its proximity to the theme park itself, and to the guests standing there, and to the city. You have one thing go astray, and maybe it's not coming down in the middle of a freeway, which is already dangerous enough, but maybe it's coming down somebody's home, which they might actually have to be responsible for. So there's a certain liability with all of this. You can see this fireworks launch point actually right here. That is the fireworks launch point for Disneyland Park over there at the Disneyland Resort. It's located just, I mean, super close to Mickey's Toontown, which is why that land closes. And major parts of Fantasyland actually close every single night when they actually put out those fireworks. And before, Culture, it was kind of hairy because they used to like do it like on scissor lifts and stuff, and which is like on top super sketch
on top of various buildings and things. Yeah, it used to be super not super great. But hey, look, this is not the only park where this happens. I will tell you, I will account for the night I was in the park and they lit the Seven Dwarfs Mine Train on fire. So it could
right. Kingdom. And they actually spray down the tops of those facades. Definitely in Walt Disney World. I don't know if they do this in Disneyland, but at Walt Disney World, they spray down the top of those facades with water before they launch something like Happily Ever After, so to prevent,
Fire.
fire from those facades and buildings and structures and so forth. This is a little compilation that Disney actually put together of the fireworks over, Disneyland Resort. And this is like one of the bigger differences too between the two places, like Walt Disney World, for example. Walt Disney World, those shells are massive. They are huge. You can see them across 76 Lagoon and so forth. I mean, they're just absolutely, they're for a Disneylander, they're very, very big. And one of the reasons why they can't be so big is because they don't have a surrounding city. But for Disneyland, that is just simply not the case. It's most unfortunate. For viewing in Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, it gives you a very intimate view because you're so close to this launch point. But it can't be an issue, folks. Explosives, very dangerous. Go ahead, Culture.
No, I think you described it perfectly. And again, I mean, there are two different fireworks systems, even if the shows are supposed to be very similar, because, well, you're using everything's different. The thousands of yards in the air versus hundreds of feet in the air is a little bit different conversation. So, but look, I mean, could I imagine this happening more regularly than we know? Yes. Especially in Orange County. So, not to mention the fact that Disney is a little bit, they don't like other people to be able to consume their product, even if you live in the Walnut part of the neighborhoods that are adjacent to the Disneyland park. They really do try to keep these low trajectory, and and with so that you don't have this happen, but at the same time, so that your competitors can't view your fireworks. So they're very selfish at Disneyland, and less so in Florida. Less so in Florida. That's the crazy thing. Like in Florida, it was so profound to me when you could just like go to the Polynesian, for example, and be out on the beach, and they play the music out there, because you'll know, Culture, that at Disneyland Resort, the Esplanade, the area between both Disney California Adventure and Disneyland Park itself, they used to play music too, and they stopped because what people were doing was they were going to downtown Disney, and they were having dinner, and then they walked to the Esplanade and watched the shows because they're visible. I mean, you can, and of course, all around the lagoon at Disney, any of the Castle Park hotels have great views. They play music. Top of the World, you can go to the top deck of the Contemporary and experience the fireworks with the music piped in. Same thing, the Poly has it played out on the beach, or when they used to have a beach, and then they put a bunch of Pizza Huts over the water. And the same thing with the Grand Floridian era, right? And now that they've built the new La Quinta there that acts as the Poly DVC tower, I'm not sure what the viewing situation is there, but I'm sure all the balcony rooms have decent views. So it's a different. Like I said, it's very different, and it was really cool to see the fireways, catch on fire for a second there. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, well, the 5 freeway, its proximity to Disneyland, it's so wild because if we go back to Google Maps, for example, and this is what I was going to point out here. Let me see if I can get that back on screen for you. You can see just this building right here, this kind of turquoise and yellow building. That's actually Team Disney Anaheim. That's the management and operation of the Disneyland Resort all emanates from that building and those who reside inside. And it's right next to the 5 freeway. That's the building that you can actually see in that video. And then you can actually see the roundhouse as well.
The train barn. Yeah, the train barn.
From the 5. And it's pretty crazy. Walt definitely did want to be nearby a freeway, not right next to it. The park has grown, and that's why it's right next to it right now. But the Stanford Research Institute, which mapped out where Disneyland should be placed, we're like, okay, like the 5 is going to be the major artery connecting LA, and you're going to have so much traffic going through there. They found that out very early on, and so that's why, the history of why these things are so close together and all of that. But Walt didn't have the blessing of size. He didn't have the blessing of land. And unfortunately, that causes problems.
Yeah, but he did have the blessing of the Pope family in the Pope house that was relocated for Star Wars. So, yeah, there used to be a residence inside of Disneyland, folks. They moved it.
They did. They moved a lot of stuff for Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, and it was all worth it. Nope. Maybe not. Not good, but that's a story for another time.
Thanks for watching That Park Plays News. For more information, consider checking out www.thatparkplace.com. And don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and send this out on your favorite social media accounts.